What do you do when life just absolutely kicks the confidence out of you, right? It could be getting fired, it could be a breakup or a divorce, it could be feeling like you didn't achieve a specific dream, it could be 1,000 different things, but you just feel like, I lost who I am. Oh, I don't know myself. And how do you get your mojo back? Mended Light. So Alicia, where did this idea of getting your groove back after life has kicked the confidence out of you, where did that come from?
Yeah, so I ran into Sarah, Provo, Utah.
Who's Sarah?
A Mended Light viewer.
Okay.
So I've run into Mended Light viewers all over the place.
Yeah.
New York, Utah, Arizona, it's super fun. So I like to ask two questions of one, what is it that you like that we do? You know, what are we doing that works for you? Mm-hmm. And then two, what would you like to see us do a video on? And she was like, man, I'm going through some hard circumstances. Like I'm having a hard time finding a job. Yeah. Like I'm a good person and this, it's like my life doesn't seem to be going my way. Yeah. And I'm doing all the things I can think of and I just am starting to lose confidence. Yeah. And who I am and where I fit in the world. And I think that's something we can all relate to. Yeah. Like we've all been there.
I think you and I have been there in our time together, before our time together, like it's just life. And so we're gonna speak from our own experience here.
Yeah. First thing I would say in response to that is your experiences do not define you. And when you have challenging life experiences, like those will absolutely bring up any sort of worth ties or worth attachments that you have. Yeah. Because it's easy to feel good about life when you're like, oh, I love my job and I'm killing it.
Yeah. And I'm in a really happy relationship, right. Or I'm really fit, or I like, yeah.
And it's not, and you don't realize like maybe how you're attaching your worth and your belonging in the world to those things until those things are no longer there. Yeah. And it's not to say that those things aren't important, but we have to separate who we are as a person from that out there.
Which reminds me of one of my favorite moments from Moana. I am Moana! One of my favorite Disney films. Those of you who have seen it, Moana is trying to return the heart of Te Fiti, right? She's trying to return, there's an island goddess who had her heart stolen from her and Moana's trying to bring it back. But there's this horrible monster that is guarding the island and Moana comes to a realization. So she says, let her come to me because Moana can command the ocean. Which you would think, why?
I have crossed the horizon to find you. I know your name. They have stolen the heart from inside you. But this does not define you. This is not who you are. You know who you are. Who you truly are.
Who you truly are. So what she didn't realize this whole time is this vicious monster protecting the island is Te Fiti. Is the island goddess she was. This scene resonates a lot with people who've been victimized by the behavior of others, who've been traumatized by the choices of others. They feel like they lose themselves. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not just losing your confidence, although there's some of that, it's losing who you are. And you get stuck in a place of self-preservation and self-protection. And that's what happened with Te Fiti, right? She had her heart stolen from her, which is such powerful language, because there's the literal what's going on in the story, but so many trauma sufferers relate to this. Like, I feel like I've lost me. Yeah. And I love when, sorry, I get emotional thinking about it. When Moana tells her, They have stolen the heart from inside you, but this does not define you. Mm-hmm. And then she says, this is not who you are, right? I know your name. I think that's exactly what Mended Light is the whole innate healing journey, is helping people see who they really are. And to, mend your light, to be this powerful force for good and light like Tafiti was. And so, yes, like the text isn't what's making me cry, folks. It's the subtext that's killing me.
If anything we're talking about or what Jono just shared like really resonates with you on a very heart-centered level, you very well may and probably do have worth ties attached to what you are experiencing. The more painful it feels, the more there is to heal. It's like shining a light on your wounds that we've kept covered up with coping mechanisms or with trying to earn our worth. And there are probably a lot of layers and many life experiences with false beliefs associated with those experiences. And at times, it can feel really brutal. And so what do you do with it? Like, what do you do with those brutal emotions? And our innate healing program takes you step by step through this process. And we've talked so much about stepping out of judgment and into self-compassion and understanding and creating a safe place for yourself. And all those steps are necessary. And as you do those steps, the next thing to do is to ride the waves of your emotions instead of getting swallowed up in them. Yeah. Because part of that process is, depending on how you've dealt with these challenging experiences, part of the process is learning to feel what you're feeling and letting it be okay that you're feeling what you're feeling. So for me, a lot of times, not feeling those emotions looked like numbing. For you, not feeling those emotions looked like avoidance. Yeah. For someone else, it could look like, fighting or being really volatile, or it could look like fawning, right? Like these are all responses of like, oh, this is what feels like the most safe way to deal with emotions that I don't know how to deal with.
And to that end, how do you deal with the emotions? Stop running from them. Going back to the Moana clip, previous to this moment, what makes that moment so powerful where she holds the heart of Tafiti up and then says to the ocean, let her come to me, is that just before that, everything she was doing was evasive. Like she was trying to avoid this big scary thing. And it was in facing it. It's the same way with our emotions. We have to ride those waves, right? We have to recognize that it's gonna pass, but it'll only pass if we let ourselves feel it. Yeah. If we don't let ourselves feel it, it's just going to be there kicking at the door nonstop.
Or if we try to face it with judgment, that's just going to create more pain.
Yeah.
Or if we try and face it when we haven't created a safe place for us to face it in, it's going to cause more of a trauma response. Yeah. Because if we don't feel physically, mentally, emotionally safe, we're just going to enter into that experience already in a trauma response.
Yeah. Well, and there's such a thing as over-identifying with your emotions, right? Speaking of this does not define you, there are a lot of people I know who feel defined by their anger or defined by their sadness. This is who I am. Back to the Moana clip, this is not who you are. To be able to say, I'm experiencing sadness or I feel angry, right? Instead of I am angry. It seems like a small shift and it's just semantics, but what it does to your brain and to how you see yourself is enormous. And then that has a major effect on the choices you make in response to what's going on with you.
Well, and it's the cognitive difference between feeling like these feelings are going to stay forever and knowing, oh, this is just a moment and it's going to pass. Yeah. So when it's like, I am feeling sadness, then it's like, oh, one, immediately becomes okay. And then two, it's like, yes, I'm going to feel this, and then it's going to pass. Instead of this defines me and this is where I'm always going to be. So it changes that perspective from like, this feels like it's going to last forever to this is a moment in time. And when sadness comes back at some point in the future, it's also not something to fear.
Yeah. And third, it's so important to confront challenging circumstances with love and compassion for yourself. Mm-hmm. You've heard me say this before, but I'll keep saying it because repetition helps us to retain. Yeah. Feelings just are. There's nothing shameful or wrong about anything you feel. Well, there's nothing shameful about anything you do either, right? I mean, I won't go down the rabbit hole of healthy guilt, but the fact is, you're human. The things you feel, the things you think, the things you do, billions of people are right in the same boat with you. So treating them with love and compassion requires you to do the same for yourself. It's the only way you can truly grow. The more you beat yourself up, the less able you are to have the strength to actually grow and change.
So there's actually neuroscience behind, like when you're in a place of shame and guilt and you're trying to change behavior, it is almost impossible to change behavior.
Yeah.
But when you show yourself love and compassion and put yourself in what's known as a growth mindset, you are so much more easily able to change your behavior.
Yeah.
And so just look at the science of it and be like, hey, if I judge and shame myself, I can't actually grow. So therefore, because of science, I'm going to be kind and compassionate and considerate to myself. And for some personality types, like healers, they are very good at showing that compassion and that kindness to other people. And it is so hard for them to accept it for themselves. While other personality types, like closers, they will need to extend compassion and understanding to themselves before they are able to truly give it to others.
Yeah.
Showing yourself compassion instead of judgment is a matter of rewiring your brain to respond to yourself that way. And some of the questions that I like to ask to help myself in those moments is, what can I do to show myself compassion in this circumstance? Do I need to rest more? Do I need to feed myself better? Do I need to move? Do I need to talk to a trustworthy friend or someone I can rely on? You know, how do I need to be nurtured during this time? And how can I meet my needs creatively and compassionately?
So now we turn it to you. When life kicks the confidence out of you, what do you do to not be defined by those hard moments or by those mistakes? How do you approach yourself with non-judgment and show yourself love and compassion? We've shared some tips here, but we would love to learn from you in the comments below. Now, to continue on this path that we've just started, we invite you to check out another video, See Yourself to See Others, which is going to pop up right here. Until next time, folks, keep shining because we need your light.